Now, another question I'm often asked is, I've made these great baits, they look terrific, I've done everything right, but for some reason they just don't work properly. Either they don't swim properly, they want to roll over onto their side, they don't dive, whatever. And there's a lot of reasons why this might happen, but one of the most common ones is that you haven't paid enough attention to getting everything symmetrical. So first I'm going to talk about exactly what I mean by getting everything symmetrical, and then we'll have a look at how to rectify the problem. So if you take the example of this jerkbait, and if I draw a horizontal line through the side profile, you can see that the upper half of the lure and the lower half of the lure are quite different shapes, and that's okay, and that's normal for any sort of crankbait. But at the image below, we're looking at the crankbait from above, and if I draw a horizontal line through that image, what you should expect is that the upper and the lower surfaces here should be identical, and they should be mirror images to each other. And you really don't have to be very far out of being a mirror image for that bait not to swim as well as it should. Now, if you're close, you'll find that the bait will work okay. If you're a long way out, it may not work at all, but the closer you can get to a perfect mirror image, the more effective your bait will be. It's as simple as that. And when we look at the lure from in front, here you've got one that's symmetrical, and the bib is perfectly aligned, and you can see that on either side of that line, everything's the same shape and the same size. But in this instance, what I've done is I've accidentally taken a little bit too much timber off on the right-hand side during shaping of the crankbait. So what you finish up with is a lopsided lure that won't swim properly. And in this example, I've got the shape of the crankbait body correct, but the diving lip isn't set straight. So the crooked diving lip's going to make that bait swim to one side. Okay, so the first thing, and you'll hear me say this over and over and over again, is always start with square wood. It's really difficult to get this right if you start with wood that's not square. So here's a bait that I've shaped, and you can see this is the side profile. I'm going to roll it over now, have a look at the top profile, and you can see if I draw a line, horizontal line through that bait, you can see that it's the same shape, mirror image, top and bottom. And you know, I'll rotate that bait around now. Let's have a look at the underside and see that we've also got a mirror image when you look at it from beneath. And it's important as you're shaping the bait to look at it from all angles, above, below, front, back, side on. So I'm going to draw a line through here now, and you'll see, here we go. Once again, that bait is reasonably symmetrical. There's a little bit of work still to do there, but it's reasonably symmetrical, mirror image, top and bottom. And you'll notice that the bib slot is also straight and square. That's really important. If you don't get that bib slot square, then your diving lip is not going to be straight, and you'll never get the bait to swim properly. Here, looking at the bait from in front, and you can see the camera angle's a bit awkward here, but you can see if I freeze it here, there's the front view. Draw a line through where the center lines on the blank are, and you can see that this is reasonably symmetrical. Left and right are reasonably the same shape. Now I'm rotating this, and I do this while I'm shaping the bait, and you want it to be symmetrical about that center line, right? So if you notice that one side's a little bit bulgier than the other side, one side's a bit thinner than the other side, then you've got to start shaping. And I use sandpaper when it's a balsa bait like this one to do that fine tuning. But keep rotating the bait, tilting it backward and forth, making sure that you're getting it perfectly symmetrical about that line, like so. Now I'll freeze this one here. And once again, I'm going to put a line through, and again, the camera angle is a little bit deceptive. I haven't got the bait quite straight, but you can see if I draw a center line there, that bait is reasonably symmetrical to the left and right of that center line. So now what I'm going to do to demonstrate just how symmetrical this bait is I'm going to cut it in half. And obviously you can't do this with a bait that you intend to finish off and use, but this bait I made for presentation purposes, for the purpose of showing you how to get things symmetrical. So let's just have a quick look. I'm going to use a marker just to make a little mark on the cut end of the wood there to show where the center line is. Once again, I'm going to freeze that. I'll draw a center line through there in red so you can see, but it's pretty obvious that bait is pretty much perfectly symmetrical, and I would expect that to have been a very good lure. So here's one way that you can quickly and easily make sure that your bait is a mirror image one side of the other, and it's a cross-sectional profile template. And I show you in the masterclass how to make these, but I also give you a whole heap of downloadable templates, which includes cross-sections, so that you can make some of the project lures along the way. And you can see what I've done there is tested one side of the lure, flipped the template over so I've got the mirror image, tested the other side of the lure, Sorry about the bad camera work, but you can see there that that's pretty good. There's not a lot of difference between those two sides, and that to me would be satisfactory for that bait.